A simple marketing show. My name is Mustafa Hosseini, and today, during this show, you will discover the impact of public speaking, how to find and secure speaking engagements, and tips for crafting and delivering a compelling speech. My guests today are Toni Kaufman and Orly Amor. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Great to see you. Let me do the proper introduction to these amazing ladies, and we're going to dive into an interesting conversation about public speaking and what you could do to grow your business through public speaking and how to go about it. Toni Kaufman is a remarkable professional, transitioned from owning a seven-figure IT firm to serving as President George H.W. Bush as his computer trainer. That's the daddy, the big guy. She later became a producer and talent manager, working on the Latin Grammys and Fremantle Media's top talent programs. She also created a network of world-class mentors hosting influencers from oil, tech, speaking, politics, and film/TV. Orly Moore is not merely a coach. She is a visionary entrepreneur, a corporate trainer, a best-selling author, and an international public speaker whose influence spans the globe. Having founded 5 successful companies, Orly's prowess in maximizing bottom line results is unmatched, having helped over 200,000 individuals worldwide to exponentially increase their sales through the power of profiling. Ladies, welcome again. I look forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you for having
So
us.
let's start with Toni. Toni, what is your story?
Oh my God, don't go there.
Give us the
you,
2 minute
you
version.
don't have a year here.
I know.
um, I'm going to say one word. It's resilience. It's the ability to come back no matter what happens to you, no matter where it happens. And you live long enough, you get through a lot of stuff. And so that's kind of my story. Is I've never. I'm a firm believer that and Orly says this too. When somebody says, "Can you do this?" you go, "Yes," and then you go figure out how to do it.
Love it.
So I think that's the story of my life, whether it was television production or live events or, hosting 7 years of spring break down in South Padre Island for Anheuser-Busch. I mean, it all comes down to having fun with your life.
Love it. Love it. Early, what is your story?
Well, I never wanted to share my personal story, and when I did finally share it, I found out that a person who was in the audience wanted to kill herself that morning. And because she heard me speak, she decided to live and wanted me to show her how. And so my story is that I never knew the power of my own story. And sometimes people don't want to share their story because they feel maybe an imposter syndrome or not ready to share it with the world, feeling judged, scrutinized, dissected, and criticized. And I had to get past that and understand the power of my story, and that's why I help others share theirs.
Love it. So, Toni, what do you do these days and who do you serve?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to find an answer for something that I was looking for. So during my production life and all that kind of stuff, I've always been in a talent management position, so to speak. So whether it was casting for the different shows from Fremantle Media, or whether it was, actually putting together stories and documentaries and podcasts and things like that, the shows, to doing on live and live events, I always felt there was a need for people who want to speak. So I put them in 3 categories: the emerging speaker, which I call my babies. But they could be, executives, CEOs, people who know that there's something more that they have to do after they retire. And so that's a really big avatar of mine. It's an executive, a professional, especially women who know there's something more and they're not sure where to find it. So I created the Standout Stars, and the whole idea was creating a variety of things so that in one year they could be enabled. We're the enablers. And I'd created the Get Camera Ready, where we talked about how to talk to the camera and how to put on your makeup and all that kind of stuff. By the way, your makeup looks wonderful, Mustafa. And then
Thank you.
the second thing that I did is create the Get Speaker Ready program so that they would know how to speak to sell. Because in this world, there is a lot of motivation, information, and education. But guys, if you can't speak to sell, you ain't going to be here next year. So I created a speak to sell program called Get Speaker Ready. And then from there, we took it to the next level, which is called Get Stage Ready. And we rented the Luxor in Las Vegas, and we had everybody who attended Get Stage Ready. We taught them everything about how to, get movement and get physical and become that person on the stage and improv and stuff like that. And we actually rented Carrot Top stage, so they actually walked on the stage and filmed for 15 minutes. But there was one piece that was missing, Mustafa, to my entire program, and that was Get Business Ready. And I have to admit, for 2 years, I literally canceled that because I hadn't found the right business program to help them get paid to speak. And
Nice.
so Orly and we've known each other for years, and we were sitting at the marketers cruise last January, and I started listening to her, and I love her pitch. She's got like this is like the best pitch I've ever heard. So when you hear it, you're gonna don't squint. I know what you're gonna do. But her pitch is so amazing that I said, Orly, is it real? Do you really do this? And we sat at a table, shared a bottle of wine that I had promised to do with her for a year. And at the end of that cruise, I knew that I had found the answer to Get Business Ready. And Orly is the real thing. She will tell you how to make money, how to get paid to speak. So there's my
Love it.
story in terms of what we're doing with Orly. And the press release went out last week. We've decided to merge Standout Stars with Orly More Enterprises and bring to all of our folks, hers, mine, and even yours, the ability to get business ready.
Love it. And you answered one of our questions as to explain to audience on what you guys do together and who it came about. Is you guys decided to join I guess may form some sort of a partnership and work together and all that. So Orly, what do you do these days and who do you serve? Is
I
it any
serve
different than what Toni said?
a little bit, because the only thing that I do as a business coach for public speakers and entrepreneurs is to show them how to make the money. And therefore, I'm the only one in the world still that guarantees they'll make 150K their first year in public speaking, or I work with them until they do. I know a lot of people say, well, that's a bold promise, and it is. But if they knew the industry itself, the industry will tell them that 150K is minimum wage in public speaking. That's like working for McDonald's for $20 an hour. So yes, we won't make 150K at McDonald's, but we can do it in public speaking. And it doesn't have to be a motivational speaker or an inspirational speaker. It could be just an educational speaker or information-based speaker. But I don't teach speak to sell. I do not care about them selling from the stage. If they have that art form, good for them. It's actually very lucrative to know how to do that. I'm all about getting paid for your message. See, I don't know how old you are, Mustafa, but let me tell you this. Until this day, today, this minute, you've paid for your intellectual property. You've paid for it with time, money, education, blood, sweat, tears, aggravation, ups and downs in your business. You've paid for the experience. That's what I call intellectual property. And therefore, I don't think you should give it away for free.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think you should give away all of your stuff for free. Maybe a small portion of it
Yeah.
as a lead magnet, maybe.
Of course, yes.
So early, let me ask you, how did you get into public speaking? What was the reason?
And I think it's what we said earlier, my story about speaking at this women's shelter and having changed somebody's life when I did not want to share my personal story. And I believe that your story can change people's lives. And my realization of it was a big aha moment. For me, it was like not wow, this is really cool. I just changed somebody's life. In my brain was, wow, I just saved somebody's life. See, in the act of sharing, there's contribution. You just don't know whose life you're going to change. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So the beginning of it and the realization of what sharing your story looks like made me want to become a public speaker in the self-development world, etc.
Love it. Toni, what about you? What made you want to become a speaker?
I think I've been. So I used to teach children's acting, and let me put it this way: I had maybe 50 kids in an audience with their parents because one or the other, mom or dad, you had to be there. I'm not babysitting. We are working together, and I would out of the audience pick a little kid, and I'd bring him to the stage, and I'd say, "Okay, why do you want to be a movie star?" And they would like, oh, world peace, and I want to make a difference, and I want to do this, and they kept giving me that same Miss America pageant kind of talk. And finally I brought them back to the stage and I said, do you guys know why you really want to be an actor? And they said yes. Everybody like, yeah. And I said, look at me, 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 look at me. That's why you want to be an actor. So I hate to say it this way, but I really felt that I had something to offer. I've invested thousands of hours of live television experience, and like Orly says, there are stories to all of us, right? So the main story that I had was that you can have horrible things happen to you and your family and still be resilient. You can get through things. For example, I was raised on a Texas super fund site, and if you don't know what that is, basically I was raised on 40 acres of DDT. So all six of my
DDT?
DDT, the poison,
Oh yeah,
right?
okay.
Right. That's what a super fund site means. Is you can't live there because everybody had defects. And to make a long story short, I've lost everyone except my big brother and I, and he's currently got liver cancer. Everybody in my family got cancer or liver problems or uh,
Because of living on that property?
because yes, but I was one of the lucky ones. We actually had an entire neighborhood where the poison plant was here, the elementary school was next to it, and the playground was in between. So at least we were born with two eyes, two ears, and a brain. Some kids were not. So,
Interesting.
if you have stories like that, for example, I spent 37 days in ICU. I lost my right lung and my trachea collapsed because of H1N1. I got COVID's mommy. Okay, 10 years before COVID was ever born.
Wow.
So you bring stories like that. And the reality is, Mustafa, and Orly knows this so well, is you don't impress people and they don't associate with you when you're prizes, success, and glorious living. They relate to you when you really show them who you really are by the struggles that you've conquered. And so I weave a combination of what I've been through with what I believe is going to happen with how we can help others. And that's what I absolutely love about this entire industry is we have a servant, mentality, and we want to help others. And that's, I think everybody, and Orly's going to agree, everybody that I've ever talked to in the past 10 years, I mean, when you ask them why they want to speak, it's like, I want to serve others. I want to help others. There's an altruistic nature that is real and whole and valid in this community of speakers, authors, healers, and coaches.
Love it. Speaking of stories, could you ladies maybe share a story about where speaking made a big impact on your business or personal life?
Sure. I in the beginning of 2010, I told my business coach that I would like to impact the lives of 200 million people around the planet. And there's two mantras that I live by. One is by Les Brown, the how is not your business. And one is by Sir Richard Branson saying, if an opportunity knocks, say yes, figure it out later, right? Toni mentioned it a little earlier, but that's my mantra as well. And a few months later, I was around my pool at my house, entertaining speakers who are friends of mine, and I was listening to them talk, and they were complaining about not getting paid as a speaker. And I was in the water, so I was hearing it, and then I said, "Guys, what are you talking about? Minimum wage in public speaking is 150K. They looked at me and said, "Are you crazy? Like some of us make 50, some of us 60, 80, 100, that's pushing it, 150. You're out of your mind, Orly." I said, "Okay, okay, you do you, I'll do me." Like I really had to leave it alone, right? And just a couple of weeks after that, I was traveling in Europe. I did 7 countries, and then I came back to speak in Arlington, Texas. And while I was in the break room for speakers, these 3 guys came over to me, obviously speakers, and they said, "Aren't you Orly Amor?" I said, "Yeah, do I know you? Sorry, I don't remember." So they said, "Oh, no, we've never met before, but we've seen you on the circuit." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then we started talking, networking. You know how that goes. And one of them, after about 10 minutes, says to me, "Listen, I'm just curious. How did you get this gig?" I said, "I don't know. I called, I told them what I speak about. They paid me, and I'm here." They all looked at me like if I had 3 heads. "You got paid?" And I said, "Oh no, like what did I just do?" I said, "You guys didn't?" They said, "No, we got our expenses paid, but we didn't get paid." I said, "Oh no, I got paid and I got my expenses paid." I was kind of boastful at that moment. They said, "Well, we want to know how you did that." And right there, I mean, I'm a fast thinker, so I said, "Well, if I tell you, I'm gonna have to charge you." But I was just kidding because I wasn't even coaching at the time. So I said, before I could say just kidding, they said, "Okay, name your price." And I said, "What? Okay, let me get back to you on this. I have to get on stage." But I went to see the event planner. And I apologized. I said, "Listen, I think I screwed up. I told these guys that I got paid." She's like, "Shh, you're the only one who got paid." I said, "Well, how can that be? Why did that happen?" She's like, "They didn't ask." So when you look at things of what the impact is, not only on your audience, you're looking at the impact that it has on you and the difference you can make in other people's lives, then you realize the plethora of all the opportunities that exist in this industry that are just phenomenal. And I think I answered the question, did I?
Yeah, you did. You did. That is amazing. Tony, do you have a speaking story that made a big impact for you?
Oh, there's so many, but I have to admit that the biggest ones that made an impact on me are the ones where we actually connected through our struggles, through our troubles, whether it was a divorce or whether it was health or whether it's that's what I enjoy the most is having people share the real stories because your vulnerability is your strength, and that's how people connect to you. So if you're actually trying to sell something, if you're actually trying to offer something, if you actually bring something to the table that you want to share, you're not going to get it by boasting. You're going to get it by sharing, how you got there. What were the problems that you solved?
Mhm.
And so, the should I'm going to give them some of my $15,000 course already. Intro, story, pain solutions offer. So people relate to you when they love your story, when they see the pain that you went through, and then more important, how you solved it, because that means you can solve it for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm a huge fan of storytelling, and I think, well, being a guy who's been in marketing for a while, I mean, once you get your story figured out, then and then if you go out and speak your story and spread your story, that helps people connect with you, and finding customers becomes a lot easier. And what I personally like about speaking is that it's a leveraged activity. Like you could talk to a room of 10, 20, 50, 50,000 people, and it's not one on one.
Yeah, that's what you leverage. I
That's what I
agree.
like about it. Um, so fear of speaking and public speaking is a big deal, and I think it's is it number one or number two?
Number one after death.
Number one
Number one
after
after death.
death. So people would rather die than speak in front of a crowd.
Yes, but
And so give us some tips on, well, how people can overcome their fear of speaking.
yeah, may I? So here's the thing with fear of public speaking. People don't have the fear of public speaking. They have the fear of humiliation, the fear of being ridiculed, the fear of being laughed at. That's the fear. And then the fear of that brings them to a fear of forgetting what they're going to say, not saying the right thing, and then it becomes like a chain reaction of fears than just one fear. That's why they fear it more than death. Death is, we don't know, and we've never been there, and we never came back to say until, unless you're Jesus. But at the end of the day, the point here is you are not fearing the one thing. You're fearing a chain reaction of things. And so, how do you overcome the fear of public speaking? I call it passion. If you're
Hmm.
really passionate about helping others, then you have to overcome the fear of public speaking. If you're passionate about um, sharing your story because everybody needs to know, then you will get to the point where you practice and you become better and better and better at it as you speak. And by the way, I've been speaking for 27 years and Toni even longer. And here's the thing. Every time we go on stage, we still get those butterflies.
Yeah.
And what we learn through that is the butterflies are not the fear provoking part. They are actually the connecting part with the audience because we become emotionally attached to the audience. And then the audience feels it and then feel connected to us, like Toni said. So that is not the overcome of public speaking, is just to practice as often as possible. I remember I used to practice in front of my teddy bears. Like literally, I used to put them on the sofa. And the fun part about it is that they don't respond. So it was an easy way to go about it. And they don't give you compliments or anything. They don't criticize either. So you get that fear of all these eyes looking at you, and then you get over that. You can actually gradually practice on people and don't, and forgive yourself. Basically, give yourself grace to make mistakes and to it's an art form. We learn every step of the way.
Love it. Toni, do you have any tips on overcoming this fear? Anything
Oh,
different?
absolutely. I mean, I think the hardest thing and I love how you said it, Orly, because yeah, they're afraid that they're going to they're not good enough. The imposter syndrome. Somebody's going to laugh at them. Somebody's going to catch them. And very quickly, I do want to say that I just went through that last year. And I mean, me, after I've been doing shows since the 70s, right? and and I got a call from Texas A&M University, and they wanted me to speak in front of, during commencement, in front of about 200 of the sororities, the members of the girls, the members of the sororities. And I did that. I remember you did the eyes where you're looking at, yeah, that. I did that, and I accepted because you say yes, right? And then I went through this entire process in my brain saying, you don't have a degree in anything. I've never graduated. Are you sure you want me? I mean, you know, and so I've never been able to get that. And before I die, I'm going to have a degree, I promise. But
Toni,
I
Bill Gates never graduated.
I called,
What are you talking about?
I called her back and I said, "Are you sure you want me?" And I told her the truth. I said, "This is how I'm feeling." She says, "Which part of what you've done do you not understand?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, that worked." so so
Yeah.
I had a great time with them. Did a good talk on influencers, and sometimes. Well, I'm going to tell you what I told an executive one time who was very, very, very nervous about him getting up on the stage. And I said, go to your bathroom, look at your mirror, and I want you to look at yourself through your child's eyes, because you can do no wrong to them. It's unconditional. You can say nothing wrong, you can do nothing wrong, and they believe in you. That's the eyes that you want to look at. And it's worked so far. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite speaking practice is just in front of a mirror, just looking at yourself and speaking. Another thing I love is recording myself just to see,
Very good.
yeah, to see
Very
how
good.
weird I talk, all my tics and weird movements. And I'm like, I have all these movements in my face and my body. And did I say it that way? Oh my God, that sounds horrible. Um,
We
and
are
then,
also our worst critics.
I know that is so
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Oh, I always tell my people, like, if you just record yourself and watch, you can coach yourself quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
and then take
Okay.
it to someone else, like a professional like you ladies, and get some next level feedback.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, people have they can't like go live on Facebook like this. They'll
right.
be scared. Now, never mind.
Mm,
Yeah, there's different types of fears.
sure.
Um, what are some key elements that the speaker needs to have to be considered or be credible in their industry?
Well, I mean, on LinkedIn alone, there are 300,000. I mean, no, I'm sorry, 300 million self proclaimed speakers. They've never been
Is
on a
there?
stage. Yes, because it's a trend. And here's the thing, if you're good at what you do and you believe in it, then you are good. You're a good speaker. I ask this question quite a lot, so I'll play that with you guys. Um, are you passionate about something? Anything. And if you're passionate about it, you're a good speaker. Get it over your head. Like get through that. If you're a passionate about anything, do you have a good message? And the answer is yes, because we all have a message we want to share with the world. Which one of these two do you think event planners care about most? That you're a good speaker or that you have a good message? Or both? Mustafa?
Both.
Okay. And because Tony knows the accent, the answer is neither. Then the answer is neither, right? And the thing
Neither.
is,
Okay.
neither. I know, right? See your facial reaction? That's what I get most of the time. What do you mean? Event planners really don't care about your message or if you're a good speaker. And by the way, if you're a bad speaker, they won't call you back. Period, right? that's all you're going to lose, really. But there are 64,000 events per day in America alone, Canada and the United States, that pay speakers. So the lack of opportunity is not there. Event planners, what they care about is that you come on time and finish on time, because you can screw their whole agenda. Literally, you can really make it really bad for them. And if you're a good speaker, then you'll speak less if somebody else went over to bring the agenda back to normal. So when I say to people, it's not if you're a good speaker or a bad speaker. Earlier, we talked about this is a craft. You got to do it more and more and learn more and more. And you can record yourself and learn more and more. But at the end of the day, you'll know by how many times you get referred as a speaker. You'll know if you're a good speaker because somebody offered you to get paid. And that's a good thing. And maybe you do that more often, you will be able to to get over that fear that we talked about. But event planners
Absolutely.
really don't care.
I
Not only,
love.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
One more thing, because I have to go. But not only is there 64,000 events a day in America, this is a $113.2 billion industry. And so
Speaking is $100 billion industry.
113.2 billion, and they're expecting it to grow by 5% in the next year.
I just want 1%. That's it.
I know, right? I would take 1% too, but I get a piece of that pie anyway, right?
I'll be happy with 1%. I love what
I
you said
know.
about. I love what you said about. Do you have a passion? Yes, and then if you have a passion, you can talk about it. Because I know people talk about their passion. You could talk about hours about your passion without even thinking about it. So
Correct.
that was a great tip. Great tip.
Thank you.
Orly, I know you have to leave, and I know you offer the complimentary coaching session. Tell us about that, please, before you leave.
Well, there are no strings attached. If people get on my calendar, we can talk 20 minutes about what's their path, where they want to go, where they see themselves. They can ask me anything. I'm pretty much of an open book. And I'll have a couple of surprises for them if they get on my calendar.
Love it. So, Yank, to claim your 20-minute complimentary coaching session with Orly and Toni, and figure out your speaking career, how you get paid, and how they can serve and support you with speaking. Click on the link in the comments or descriptions of the show, and have a complimentary chat. It's not going to hurt.
Exactly.
I'm sure you're going to get a few values and benefits out of that. And speaking is a really good thing if you could figure it out, and especially so it's like, get this, you get paid to market yourself and your business. It doesn't get any better than that.
I don't think so.
Especially if you could.
I think you'll agree that the number one marketing tool is word of mouth. And I
Hmm.
think that number two marketing tool is public speaking. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I've
Right.
been, I think I've been speaking in front of crowds since I was 7 or 8, singing, doing things in front of people. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for Mustafa for having me. Thank you for what you
Thank you for
do
being here
and for
and sharing
making
your
changes.
wisdom. I appreciate it.
I will see you guys. You can
Absolutely.
continue. Take care.
Already.
I'll see you in an hour, Orly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, um, have a great day, early. So, Tony,
She's pretty amazing. Yeah.
she is. Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. Um, what else? What else? What? How? I know earlier you guys talked about getting paid.
Mhm.
Is there a way to ask that question that people are just don't know about
Oh
to
yeah,
get
I
paid?
think the number one reason that speakers don't get paid, and Orly touched on this when she was talking about the folks that were in her pool. They don't know what they're worth. They don't know how to charge. So if you go to the traditional way of speakers bureaus, okay, so there is you'll notice that there are some people that are entry level, and entry level is between $1,000 and $5,000, you know, and then plus expenses, etc., gas and hotel and all that. But we get you from 5 to 10,000 to get. Those are my entry levels, because I assume that they've already done a bunch of practice, that they are ready, that they've got some stuff together, they've got some tools together. And what's really more important is something that I've taught for the past 40 years, because first of all, I'm in Texas. So that means that most people in the film industry are probably starving to death. We don't get a lot of projects, and when we do, I think your hometown, Mustafa, has taken most of our business in Canada, right?
No way in Calgary.
Oh, Calgary and Vancouver. Are you kidding? Even Enron was filmed in Toronto. The story of Enron, which is in Houston, right? So,
Which business is that? Is that the
the
filming or
film industry,
speaking or?
the film industry has Canada has created incentive programs that are hard for any of the states to beat. And so, I mean, you Friday Night Lights, the story of high school football in Austin, Texas, ended up moved to Vancouver. So anyway, that's a whole nother show that we could talk about. But here's the reason that I brought it up is there are so many ways to build your credibility, to speak with integrity, to become authentic, and to be credible. All right, it's not whether you have an MBA, and I love PhDs. I used to say I had 3 of them working for me, but 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 the crazy part was that your story is going to be extremely important. Number one. Number two, you also need to know how to finagle and move around the audience. All right. And so our good friend Iman taught us, the seeding method and the 7 yes method before you get to, the meat and potatoes of your talk. And so there's a lot of methodologies out there that help speakers talk. But it's really important, number one, to know that you're either going to catch them in the first 7 seconds or you're not going to catch them at all. So improv training is really important. And as a matter of fact, on the speakers cruise, I will be doing improv training, and we do that by playing Whose Line Is It Anyway with all of our attendees. So you will get loose, you'll feel comfortable in your skin, so I was watching a show last night on Netflix about the Dallas Cowgirl cheerleaders, the cowboy cheerleaders, and how they have to assume a persona once they're in public that is not who they are.
The
Because you are
cheerleaders.
something bigger than yourself. So when people, and we talked about this based on becoming your own talent agent, and that's the reason that I brought all this up is that is the number one tool that you have to establish in order to understand how to charge, how to get paid to speak. And you don't need a talent agent because, but honestly, guys, you're not going to get one unless you can bring in 30,000 to 300,000. When I worked with the president, and this was, way back in the 80s, when I worked with the president, when he left office, they were getting paid between $330,000 to speak on a stage. So I'm
President was.
sure that that's a lot more expensive now,
That
but
was the president getting that much
that was
money?
the president, right? Now, Colin Powell, Rod Page, Condoleezza Rice, President Bush, they got that because of one main reason. And I think you've seen this. You've seen it every time we have a big gathering of speakers somewhere. The folks who can ask for that kind of money can sell tickets. And that's why we bring people in at that level, because we want the other speakers to make sure that we have a full audience, a full house for you to be able to sell from stage. So now you're going from becoming your own talent agent to understanding the methodology of the stages and the business of the stage. And then there's another. So one is the pay to play, person who's going to come in, and you've seen this a million times. I mean, our friend Iman and some folks like that have done an incredible job doing what we call the pay to play stage. They pay so much money, they come on the stage, and then they split what they sell. But you and I have seen them sell six figures in 30 minutes, right?
That's
Right.
great.
So yes, I like those kind as an event producer, an event planner, and a stage manager. I like those kind of folks as well because they help with the basic cost of the event. So you bring in the folks who can sell tickets, you bring in the folks who can sell from stage, and then you bring in the folks who are your keynoters, who have a very valuable message to share. So that's kind of where we are. And a lot of folks who are just starting can do keynotes. A lot of folks who are just starting can share their stories. And that's really what I'm looking for as a stage manager, a talent manager, and an event producer. Is those types of, bringing that formula, that mesh, all those ingredients into creating a successful event. Does that make sense?
Is this, yeah, it does make sense. Does this apply, or can you guys help shy people?
Oh my God, yes.
Because I think
Absolutely.
I'm thinking is
Yeah.
shy people would probably watch this, be like, there is no way on earth I would show up on the stage and
You're gonna laugh at me, but even on the marketers cruise, the marketers cruise, we're surrounded by 450 of our nearest and dearest friends, right? I can't tell you how many times I had to stop, leave the room, run to my cabin, and just kind of melt for about 30 minutes because I was peopled out. All of us have an introverted part of us, and some of
yeah,
us are, yeah, I know you do.
yeah. I know
But
I
all
know
of
it's
us
one
have
time.
that. It's how we manage it. It's how we manage it. And even, I don't care if you have to run into your cabin for 30 minutes and watch a ghost story or something to get you out of your mind. But all of us have that. And so when you're just starting, we do get you to think in terms of what you have to offer is very valuable and people need to hear it. So
Oh
if
yeah.
you want to help people, you need to get over yourself to a point where you can share your story, share your tale, share your input. And hopefully, like Orly said, even that one person that came up to her and said, look at my book. This is my journal. I was going to kill myself today. And because of what your story was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to live.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't ever know who you approach that way or who you impact that way. But and I teach something that's very very basic, especially in filmmaking, is I teach the hero's journey, and the hero's journey is very very powerful. So you guys, if you don't understand, every major movie you've ever seen in your life has the hero's journey in it.
Hmm.
And so that's something that I do recommend, and I'd be happy to, I have we can add this later, but I have a hero's journey workbook that we can work through, and I'd be happy to
Absolutely.
give your audience some one-on-one time as well on that.
Love it.
So
If you got the
there's
link there, Tony, I'll be happy to post it as a comment on the show right now by the
okay.
time
Let me
we
get
got another 20 minutes or so.
that. That would be
Let
great.
me share a story about getting shy. Speaking, and while you find that link, so it was, I think last year I was in Vegas speaking at a massive event, probably 3,000 to 4,000 people, and I was supposed to go on stage, and I thought I was on a breakout room with, like, these breakout rooms are usually, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 people. So about half an hour before my time, I showed up to the room, and it's a room about 300 to 500 people. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot bigger than I thought. So guess what I did? I'm like, I need to review my stuff one more time. So I ran back to the room and I grabbed my slides and I rehearsed one more time. I'm like, I don't want to screw up in front of all these people. So like, and I'm a guy, like, I would speak in front of a room, no problem, no hesitations. But then I saw it and I'm like you said, sometimes we turn shy. This one other time I was speaking in front of a small room, probably 30, 40 people, and my heart started pounding right about when I was about to go and speak in front of these people. And I'm like, guys, my heart is like coming out of my chest. Can you guys see it? They're like, no.
You were having an anxiety attack.
I'm like, I feel like I'm about to die, but I was sweating, and I'm like, I was like, I never get this. What is happening? It was weird. So it happens. To your
Oh,
point,
it happened. It happened to me. I mean, I'll get up on the stage and I'm feeling fine and I'm confident and I've got the stories in my head and I've got everything ready to go. I practice, by the way, the haiku method of PowerPoint. I don't read from slides. I have
yeah,
a photo, a picture that comes
yeah,
up of the
me
emotion
too.
I'm trying to create. They don't want me to read bullet points to them. They just want to feel.
Yeah,
So anyway, I was doing that, and I came up on the stage, and everything started fine. Then for some reason, my mouth went complete. I mean, like a ball of
locked up.
cotton was in my mouth, and I asked for water, and I must have downed 2 bottles of water in a 1 hour talk, and I could not get. It just was really dry. I have no idea why I did that. But you guys, you're gonna go through that, and that's okay.
It
And
happens.
sometimes when you tell people what you're going through is, hold on, guys, I think I'm having an anxiety attack. They'll laugh with you. We can turn it around. If sometimes, I mean, it's like Rodney Dangerfield. The more respect you don't have, the more they love you.
That's
But
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like, yeah, you mentioned it. I think one of the ways to deal with it is you just tell people, I'm
yeah,
scared, I'm speechless, my heart is pounding, and then people would laugh at it and be like, and you move on.
and you
That's
move on. Yeah.
that's the worst
The
that
only
could, I
time
guess,
it doesn't
happen.
work well is if you're a comic.
What do you mean?
Well, because in comedy, y- you have to grab them. It's a lot more
It's
engaging
harder.
in
Oh
terms of
my
what you're
God.
doing, but they can't see you weak because they will eat you up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I've been watching some stand up recently, and I'm like, wow, the way these
Yeah.
guys are handling the audience is like on a whole different level.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's
you
a
get a
great
heckler
way.
and you're
Yeah.
done. Especially if it's a strong heckler, they will take over the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I tried. I myself and a couple of friends tried stand-up comedy for a while, and we were doing it bilingually so that we could bring in the Spanish and English to both of it, right? I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore.
I know.
That was
So
not fun.
is dealing with hecklers part of your program?
Not really, because now we're doing a lot more speaking than we are comedy and acting.
No, I mean, even in speaking, sometimes you get asked times tough questions, and you got to be able to handle that, I guess.
So first of all, there's a way to manipulate their questions so that you're able to answer them perfectly.
Tell me.
Have you ever seen a magic show where you pick a card, any card, and you put it back in the deck and then they come up with it, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that they don't know what card you had. It just makes it look like you had an option. There
Okay.
so you do the same thing. So if I want you to give me a color and I'll say pick one of the 7 favorite colors. I know you're going to pick red, blue, green, yellow, black or white, right? And then you could ask the questions to where the color comes down and all of a sudden, oh, you picked red. And how did I know? Because I gave you a choice twice, and that's the only logical solution for the answer. So you can force the answer without them actually asking the right question. You can turn it around to where it is your question and you are back in control and you answer it
I love
perfect.
it.
Right.
Do you know Chris Voss?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just remind me of his labeling and mirroring and labeling. Like,
Excellent.
they
Yeah.
ask a question and you just mirror that question, and they just answer it. They start answering their own question. You know,
I start asking exactly. So
like,
let me, with your permission, I'd like to go into the hero's journey just a little bit,
please
because
do.
especially
Actually,
for those.
before you do
Mhm.
that, I know we talked about stories quite a bit, and I have an idea of how important stories are. But tell us what stories are and how extremely and why they're important to have in any part of marketing, specifically when you're speaking. And then tell us about the hero's journey.
Excellent. The way that you get buy-in, the way that you get a yes, the way that you can present to the audience and feel vulnerable to them is with your story. And the
Hmm.
way that they're going to love you and the way that they're going to come back to you and the reason they want to speak to you is because you touched something. So Maya Angelou said it best. They're not going to remember what you said or how you said it. They're going to remember how you made them feel.
Exactly.
Right. So and that's one of my favorite sayings of all time because it's so true. And I even saw Oprah use it on one of her shows one time. But here's what I'm getting at. Every movie, every radio, every story has the same basic ingredients. And I'm only going to go through 6 because there's 12 steps. I'm just going to go through 6 very, very quickly. And I want you to think in terms of a clock, Mustafa, with 12 o'clock at the top and 6 o'clock at the bottom, right? It's on your wall, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason that I'm doing that is because you will see exactly how the story gets put in place. So, for example, Mustafa, you had some choices in your life. Number 1, you came from another country. You took the blue pill or the green pill or the red pill, right? You made a choice. So you
Yeah.
took the red pill because you decided to move.
Yeah.
Huge, right? Huge. You also had a choice going to college. You took the blue pill? No. The red pill? Yeah, I'm going to go do it. Every single one of us has so many choices that create the step 1 for the story. All right. For example, Harry Potter. He got an invitation to the academy, right? Hogwarts. Did he take it? Yes. Starts a story. Of course, the Matrix. He took the pill. He went into the Matrix. Uh, Skywalker, Luke Skywalker. He got a choice. His choice was this little robot is telling me to go look for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Am I going to stay here and keep gardening and raising the farm, or am I going to go look for this man and take him as robot?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's your choice. You have the pill, right? You decide, oh, another great choice of yours is that you get married.
Yeah.
Blue pill, red pill. All right.
Absolutely.
So you not only that, then you had other choices. Do I want to have children? And I know you've got 3 and 1 on the way. So you've made that choice 4 times at least, right?
No, we have 2, third one on the
You have
way.
2 and the third one. Okay.
3
Thank you.
boys, it looks like.
Yeah. 3 boys. Oh my God. We need a girl in there. Come on.
Well, we were hoping for a girl, but it didn't happen.
That's that's beautiful. So everyone who's listening to us right now, you've had these choices. What was yours? Did you accept a job? That starts a new story. So every day in our lives, we make a decision that could eventually lead to another epic drama in our
Yeah.
life. right?
Yeah.
And and by the way, the definition of an epic, every movie that's out there has to be done in about 90 minutes, which means 90 pages of script, 1 page per minute. Okay. You do not get an epic, a 2.5, 3 hour, a Dune, a Star Wars, a Lord of the Rings. You don't get that because theaters, I mean, you have to be extremely successful because theaters can only book and they want to play 7 movies in one day to make money. 90 minutes. So it's a formula. So just so that you guys know that, let's take that out of the picture now. So step one, you made a decision. Step two, now you go forward in your decision.
So
You
just to be clear, this is the hero's journey.
This is the hero's journey.
You made a decision is step one.
You made a decision, step one. Step two, you're going to find a mentor. Okay. And this is so perfect for our coaching world, for our speaking world, for our business world, for our studies world. Everybody, you've made a decision to do it. Let's find you a mentor. Why? Because you leverage their knowledge, because you don't learn everything from scratch, because they are going to help you, right? Then number three is you're going to find that it's harder than you thought. So you have your first challenge, right?
So you got to start it and you hit another challenge.
You hit it exactly.
You
and
thought you're good.
and that the challenge is going to take that mud off and it's going to create the superhero underneath the mud, right? It's going to start carving little pieces off of the rust that you brought with you from the farm. And now you're going to learn how to do it better because you're hitting challenges. And there's an old wives' tale, especially in Spanish, that says God will not give you a wall that you cannot climb over. Might take you some time, but you're going to climb over it. And guess what's on the other side? Because that takes us to number 5, another wall. So you grow. And
just that it's about to get easier, like boom, get a hit into the face, boom, another wall.
How many movies have you seen this way? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then on number 6, and this is all we have time for. I'm not going to go through the 12, but at 6, it's a death or dying situation.
For the hero?
At 6, for the hero. Now, death does not mean that you're down out of the picture and off to the supernatural. Death means change. So everything you've gone through, the finding your mentor, the going through the challenge, the finding how to get over it, the getting stronger brings you to number 6, which is the change that you're going to make. You are stronger, you are smarter, you've been there, you've done that. Now you want to help others. Do you see how this all fits into the speaker?
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense as you're going through all the steps.
That's the hero's journey. That's just a piece of it.
Love it.
But there's
and I'm guessing,
yeah.
And I'm guessing you guys would talk about this and teach this in your speakers cruise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about the speakers cruise and what's happening. Give us some details.
The speakers cruise, guys, is happening, and I'll tell you what, I'm doing a lot of improv and a lot of exercises and a lot of game playing, and I'm also doing a quasi slumber party so that the women that come and some of the guys, if you're on the cruise, you can come into my cabin. We're going to have like a quasi slumber party, which means I'm going to teach them makeup makeovers. So we're going to go through every single one of you and make you up so that you look gorgeous for your filming during the cruise, because we want to create a lot of B-roll and we want to get your sizzle reel, your intro reel, and we want to get you out there. And we bring a headshot photographer as well, so you can get your headshot. So everything that we need to market you or that you need to create the tools, they're going to be there as well. But we do have Bert Oliva, who is an expert speaker trainer. Incredible program that he brings to the table. He's going to be there to spend the whole 7 days with you. We've got Aaron Noman Jack coming in to do TED Talk training. We've got, or TEDx training. We've got myself, and then we've got, of course, Orly, who is just phenomenal when it comes to mindset and mastery and how to get paid for your stuff. So you're going to be surrounded. We're even bringing Jonathan Bengal, who's going to be talking the business of the tax expert, how to run your business properly and how to set it up properly so that it doesn't fail. So I can keep going, but that's what the speakers cruise is. It's 7 days. Actually, I think it's 8 days. And we're leaving Fort Lauderdale on Royal Caribbean. And every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central, guys, I do a free quick meet. I answer all your questions. I walk you through getting booked. The whole price of the group is $297 to spend 7 days with us. And then you pick the cabin that you want. So we do it a little different than most of the other cruises where you just pay the one person and they got your room. I let you go to Royal Caribbean, pick your room, become part of the group. And I don't care if you want an interior cabin or the presidential suite. That's up to you. But this is happening September 22nd through the 29th. It leaves Fort Lauderdale. We're on Royal Caribbean. We're going to the Caribbean. We're going to Nassau, the Bahamas. We're going to Jamaica, and then we're going to Grand Cayman. And on the days that are sea days, we're having our conference. So guess what? You could write off the entire cruise as a business expense.
I was just gonna say that.
Because you're
You
gonna get learned something, you know.
yeah, you get to go on a cruise, learn how to speak, get your B-roll, get your headshot,
It's
hang
amazing.
out, learn a bunch of stuff, practice, become a good speaker. Well, you're gonna learn. Obviously, you need practice, but
Yeah.
then you get started on that with all the help and coaching you're gonna get, and hang out with a bunch of amazing coaches and other people who are serious about their business and life, and boom, write the whole thing off. Damn,
It's
that's awesome.
great. Now I don't know how that works in Canada, but I do know in the U.S. this is tax deductible. So.
Oh, it is the same in Canada.
Okay, great. So
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the
if it's a
private chat,
business
I
thing.
put the quick the Q&As that we do every Wednesday, and everything that I'm talking to you guys this is complimentary. So the cruise weekly quick notes where I answer all your questions and even help you go to Royal Caribbean and book your cabin. And then the cruise registration is where you pay the group fee for $297, and that explains everything that you're going to do on the cruise. And so we absolutely, and guys, you don't have to already be a speaker to be on this cruise. I talked about my emerging babies, remember? My emerging speakers, I want you there. My experienced speakers, I want you there because we're going to take you to the next level. And my expert speakers, you need to be there because people want to meet you. This is a great networking.
That was a great comment. Who is this for, and who is this not for?
This is for everybody. You know what? I've been an entrepreneur way too long, and I've been in too many networking events to say that this is not for entrepreneurs because you guys need to learn how to talk about your stuff. You know, and you can't be boring, and you need a quick 90-second pitch. And you heard Orly's. Is that the master pitch? You're going to make $150,000 in 1 year, or you're going to work with me until you do it, guaranteed, right? So we'll teach you the pitchy. We'll help you with your story. We'll help you craft it. And all of this happens, and you're going to be on stage between 6 and 20 times during the 7 days of the cruise. So you will have the experience, the practice that you want. So emerging speakers, experienced speakers, and expert speakers, we want you all there. Entrepreneurs who need to learn how to sell. If you want to send us your team, we could fit up to 8 people in some of these rooms. If you want to send your team so we can get them getting your presentations perfect, let's work with your team as well. So
Nice.
that's how I think.
I love it. Toni, give me a 30-second tip that people, a simple tip that people could do to improve their marketing, like today.
So I really am a firm believer of adding to your marketing plan. And I know you're the expert on marketing, Mustafa, but I highly recommend that you add the networking capacity and capability of 3 cruises that we do every year. So one is the speakers cruise that's happening in September, because that's going to do nothing but get you ready for the next ones. The next one is and I get this question all the time about people's marketing plans. Should I add a TV show? Should I add a YouTube channel? Should I add a podcast? I'm a podcast producer. I've got 3 clients right now that we're creating their podcasts right now. As a matter of fact, I'm flying into Orlando in July to film 3 days of someone's podcast. So, yes, the next one in October is the Podcasters Cruise. And this is where you meet all fellow podcasters, people who want to be guests because they know the value of it. And on top of that, in January, we do the Marketers Cruise, which helps people with their joint ventures and their affiliate programs. This is where you find your partners who are going to, trust you enough to want to sell your wares, your services, your products, and your programs. Those are the three cruises that I recommend that people get on. Number one, the Speakers Cruise in September, Podcasters Cruise in October, Marketers Cruise in January. It's a pretty amazing way to network. And you get to take your family, and for most, especially folks like you, Mustafa, your kids are free.
Oh yeah.
And that includes all the food that they want to eat and all the swimming they want to do.
So if they want to come on the cruise, they don't pay for kids? Or
No, if I believe Royal Caribbean has under 12. If they're under 12, they're free.
no way. Well, I didn't know that. I think maybe you explained it to me, but I forgot. I'm not that smart. All right. Let me ask a couple of questions before we wrap up, shall we?
Okay.
What's a new thing that you have tried recently? As big as going to the moon, as small as a cup of coffee?
Well, a new thing I've tried recently.
Big or small?
I live a life of adventure, so I'm always trying new stuff.
Any,
I really do. I mean, this is my last year of the 60s, guys. So I've got 10 months to go before I'm 70, and I ain't done yet.
good for you. Anything that comes to mind? Any book, drinks, food, travel, anything?
Oh, absolutely. I've spent the last couple of weeks in Austin, and which is like food capital. I mean, Houston is known for all of its wonderful gourmet food from all over the world. Austin has this. Their saying is "keep it weird," but they have this great stuff here. They've got from barbecue, which you expect, but you also have sushi. You've got Greek food. You've got Iranian food. You've got Indian food. I mean, we went to Cabo Bob's, my granddaughter and I, and wow, I had their steak bowl, which was amazing, and she had the fish tacos, which were to kill for. So there you go, free ad. I really did enjoy it.
Love it. Give me two of your favorite books of all time. Couple titles.
Because of what I've been through, it's going to sound a little morbid, but I absolutely love, if you have folks in your family that are experiencing a bad disease, or have to make arrangements, and that's the words that the doctors use when they are trying to tell you to go get your affairs in order. There's one book called Chasing Daylight that I recommend highly to anybody who's got a loved one or going through this themselves. So that's Chasing Daylight, and it was written by the CEO of KPMG Worldwide. So he was an extremely successful person who basically got 90 days to live from tumors in the brain. But I read it for my husband. I read it to my little brother. I read it to people that I knew just needed to hear somebody else's thoughts on end of life. I recommend it highly. And then, of course, my favorite of all time is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Love it. Amazing book.
The story of legend. So if you like the hero's journey, guys, The Alchemist.
I love it. Toni, what's one advice that made a big impact on life or business?
Two things. My father, who died when I was very young, but I was daddy's girl, so he could do no wrong, right? But he always told me that when you are in front of a group of farm workers, he sold insurance. When you're in front of a group of farm workers, you will speak like a farm worker, you will act like a farm worker, and you will be a farm worker. When you're in front of executives, you will be an executive, you will act like an executive, you will speak like an executive. You never talk down, and you never give them the impression that you feel like you're better than any of them, because you're not. I had a farm worker tell me one time, what plant did they pick beans from? And I had no idea. I thought it was like rice, right? And he says, no, it's a vine. We get them off of this little vine. And I was like, see?
Nice.
So that's one. And then on my mom's side, um, she always had a way of putting things into perspective. And she said every time you feel like somebody's hurt you or you've done something wrong and you can't get over it, she says just do this. Tell your angel, help you knock it off your shoulders. Be positive. Tomorrow's another day. And like my dad used to say, if you ain't going to jail and you're not dying, you got another day. You got another chance. Take advantage of it.
Oh, for sure. Love it. Love it. Toni, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you for showing up, sharing your expertise. Gang, if you're watching or listening to improve your speaking game, do reach out to Toni and Orly. Take this 20-minute complimentary coaching session to talk about your speaking, I guess, component of your marketing and how to grow your business and become a better speaker, improve your skills, maybe reduce your fear, and how to get paid out of all things while doing
Super
that.
important.
Do reach
Yeah.
out. This speakers cruise is a super fun thing to join. That you show up, you write the whole thing off, and doesn't get any better than that, I guess. When it comes to learning stuff, so it's not like you're sitting in a hotel room and it's
No,
boring. It's on a cruise, baby.
no, you're going to be on the stage. And guess what? We're going to 4 different nations. Therefore, you will be an international speaker at the end of this cruise.
Hmm.
Legitimately.
There you go. There you go. You could put that on your profile.
Yeah.
International speakers spoken on 4 continents or countries.
Oh, countries, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Toni, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't get a chance to talk about before we wrap up?
No, there's just always hope. And you guys, I mean, again, whenever you're feeling down and low, um, okay, so I'm hearing, all right. How many of you believe in angels? Do you believe in angels, Mustafa?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I have no doubt, but I need you to know that, and you're going to laugh at me. Angels are like vampires. And let me explain that. In all the old movies of all, all the vampires, the vampires had to come to the window and knock because they couldn't come in unless you opened the window and let them in. Right? Yeah, they couldn't walk in without an invitation. So you guys, you're surrounded by angels all day long, every day. And every day they wait for you to open that window and say, come on, guys, come help me out. I do that every morning. Every morning I wake up and I'll say, okay, you two go take care of my kids. Watch over them, make sure they're safe. You two come with me and make sure I don't screw something up today. You two
That's
come
right.
with me. So that's all you've got to do is invite them in, because otherwise they're just sitting, waiting around you without able. They can't mess with your free will.
Love
So
it.
there's my one tip for the day.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you very much, gang, for joining us today. If you have any questions for me, Toni, or oh my God, I'm having a brain fart.
Orly.
Orly, about speaking, post it as a comment or reach out to them. Grab your complimentary coaching session. You've been listening to another episode of the Simple Marketing Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on our next episode.